Hello and welcome to another one of our Fireside Chats. And today it's going to be all things e-commerce. I'm delighted to be joined by Dean Symons from Sana. He's their inside sales manager. We're going to have a chat around what's been going on in the e-commerce arena for the next couple of years and maybe take a little look into the future and where e-commerce is headed. So first of all, good morning, Dean. And by way of introduction, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey so far with Sana.
Yeah, thanks, Nigel, and thanks for having me on the show. Firstly, let's just start. As you can probably hear already, I'm not a native British person. So I actually come from South Africa. I've been living in the Netherlands. That's where Sana's head office is. I actually got here through love, so it's a funny one that it can bring you here. But I guess as far as Sana and e-commerce is concerned, my journey actually started in October of 2019, because previously I was working in the recruitment industry selling software. Recruitment software is kind of like Tinder for jobs. But yeah, I think e-commerce is actually going places, and I think it was a very good change looking at the way things turned out over the course of 2020. So I think I just snuck in or got out of it very quickly and into something that's definitely helping businesses across the globe at the moment. Get their product as well as the people that need the product.
So in terms of Sana, I often reflect that the product is has some roots in B2B e-commerce, though of course it can cater for B2C as well. Perhaps you could just talk us through where you see those approaches differing. What sort of things does a B2B client need that a B2C customer, where are their requirements different?
Yeah, I think, specifically what Sana does in this respect, we obviously, our roots, as you say, are in the B2B side. But where B2C is very different, and I'm sure we've all ordered on Amazon and, places like that, just small items. That's more about the quantity, but the quantity of ordering, it's generally one-off sort of bits and pieces here, whereas if you compare that to business to business, people are generally ordering in large quantities, big bulk orders, lots of the same thing. That's sort of on a product level one of the big differences. Some of the other stuff that we see is the expectations from people who are ordering on B2B versus on B2C side. The expectations are slightly different from what they expect from their e-commerce experience. To give an example of this, I think people that are ordering on a B2C level are really focusing on visual stuff and need to be able to zoom into photos and have a deep dive into each description. And I think when you look at it from a B2B perspective, generally, businesses know what they need. So that's not necessarily as important as you would see from a sort of customer ordering rather than a business customer ordering in essence.
So obviously the pandemic has, changed the world of e-commerce. I think I was looking the other day, and it's taken 20 years from Tesco's to get to 8% of their business being online at the beginning of the pandemic. It's taken 6 months for that to go from 8% to 20%. Clearly this is phenomenal. From your perspective, what have you seen as being the impact of the pandemic?
I personally think that it's from an e-commerce perspective anyway, it's accelerated everything. And when I say accelerated, it's either driven things into the ground very, very rapidly, or it has made companies that generally would be pretty successful and potentially take a longer time to get to position X, that's just accelerated over a 9-month period. For example, companies that are selling medical products, they went from selling on an ongoing basis to hitting the skyscrapers. Similarly, so we see in and a lot of it is very industry specific. So we're talking like food and beverage that's increased, fast food chains, their e-commerce is increasing as well because now they can sell their products online, etc.
Yeah.
So I think it has a lot to do with acceleration. It's accelerated things, or basically what the end solution was going to be for each company individually has just gone 5 to 10 times quicker than what it would have, in either direction, of course.
So another area that we're seeing some interest in is this whole concept of omnichannel. So, e-commerce being one channel, but of course there are all sorts of ways that people can either buy the product or actually take receipt of the product. So, what sort of trends have you seen in that area?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the expectation and the expectation management. So customers have expectations, whether they are online, whether they are in store, wherever they are. But what we're seeing, and well, actually something that Sana specifically holds quite close to their heart, is having an experience that flows through all of the different channels of selling. I think also one of the reasons for this is that, buying is not just, it's not the same journey that it was. It's not going from A to B. For example, you may be on your mobile phone, see an advert on Instagram, for example. Well, what do you do with it? You click on the advert, you potentially don't buy it then and there, right? That's just a bit of marketing. You see it.
Yeah.
You then may take a further look on your PC later on in that day, and of course, when it's possible, maybe in the end buy it in store because you actually want to see this physical product. But you've done your research through all the channels, and whichever channel the buyers want to buy, it needs to be the same experience. For example, they need to, or even if they call in to place an order, the price needs to be the same. They need to match. Whether you're in store, online, on the phone, that price needs to be the same. So again, those expectations need to be managed, and I think that's where e-commerce needs to stay. I know that there's some e-commerce providers that don't offer such an omni-channel experience, but I think that it's all about expectation management and making sure that no matter where the product is seen, how it's seen, is that it's the same experience that they receive. Obviously, it's slightly different in nature of the actual experience, but what they're getting, the price, the service, these things need to be all flowing and equivalent to one another in essence.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things there is it sometimes is not the company's e-commerce site that is actually the first place that somebody that a potential customer sees that product. It might be through an Amazon marketplace, or if you're in food delivery, you first see it on Uber Eats or Deliveroo or something, and so you've actually even got to push that one experience back down into maybe other people's platforms as well. Let's move on to another topic, and it's one that Microsoft been really focusing on for the last couple of years now, and that's the area of AI. What role do you see AI playing in modern day e-commerce?
Yeah, I think to answer the question accurately, I think we need to split B2B and B2C up here.
Okay.
Because I think the expectations of one and the other are going to be very, very different, and the way that I see these things building will be very different. I'll start on the B2C side. I think, and I've had a chat to some of my technical consultants internally about what their thoughts are as well. So this is also a bit of a collaborated thought as well, if that makes sense. And one of the things that came up is predictive selling. So I'm sure you can understand, and you're starting to see that a lot more going forward. But I think that also is relative to the amount of data that they have, Facebook, etc. And that's really a lot of B2C stuff that's coming. It's all on a personal level. It's all private. It's not really related to business. So what I think that the AI is going to play a big role in that predictive selling going forward from a B2C perspective. And then when you look at B2B, I think AI is going to play a slightly different role. I think it's going to be, and I think the one thing that's holding it back is actually people, is the payment of invoices. These are all done manually because people want control of this process, right? If you're a business owner, you've just bought from another business, you want to control your payments. And I think AI, and there's potentially some AI available, and the banks are doing it. Things are automated. They can take money off your account every single month. But on a business-to-business basis, that's not happening as much as it should because I think, again, people are sort of the blocker here.
The thing that AI has to have is lots of data, right? It's got to learn from lots of data. And the great thing about e-commerce is you end up with a lot of data. I think that there's been stuff around propensity models. How likely is somebody of this customer type to buy this product, and therefore you can flash up, well, you might also want to buy this. That stuff's been around for a long time, but it to my mind, it's usually relied on you actually thinking about two points. One is the segment of the customer, and one is the propensity to buy a single product.
Yep.
It's when you start merging all of that together and get general predictions, that actually things start becoming a lot more powerful, because it's not just the old beer and nappies thing. I know you have a young child, so you're probably still aware of that.
Both of those things, yes.
that correlation. People buying nappies at 10 o'clock at night tend to buy beer as well. But and those things have been known for a while. But it's actually looking right across the product set, and if you've got enough data, there's a chance for some of that stuff to happen a bit easier. Well, listen, it's been lovely to catch up with you, Dean. Thanks very much for taking time out to talk to us, and maybe we'll have another chat later on in the year and see how we're doing against these predictions.
Sounds good, Nigel. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.
All right, lovely. Thank you.
Cheers. Have a good day.